Golden Blue Dude back with another video just for you. So if you're a college football fanatic, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because it is a long off season and I'm here to get you through it. And also go check out our Patreon page. A lot of time and effort going into that. And I call my Patreons the shot callers because I let them call the shots with video ideas and what teams that I do previews and predictions for the 2022 college football season first. We also have a great website designed and created by Joey Foster. We have 8 great writers led by our head writer Michael Walker. And I can't forget about a merchandise store. A lot of great stuff over there. In fact, I bought 2 t-shirts myself, the gold one and the blue ones. I'm sure you'll find something as well. Yesterday, I did part 1 of the FPI rankings as far as difficulty goes for all the teams in college football. I did numbers 25 to 11. Today, it's going to be the top 10. Number 10 on this list, Indiana. They start the season with Illinois at home, then FCS Idaho at home, Western Kentucky at home. After that, they go on the road to Cincinnati, and then on the road to Nebraska. Then they get Michigan at home, then they get Maryland at home, then on the road to Rutgers, then the bye week, then Penn State at home, then back-to-back road trips at Ohio State, at Michigan State, and then a home game against Purdue. Absolutely, this is a top 10 tough schedule. Road trips to Cincinnati for an out-of-conference, then at Nebraska, at Ohio State, at Michigan State. This is a toughie, Indiana, and for a bounce-back year, they didn't do you any favors with the schedule. Number 9, according to the FPI, is LSU. Here's their schedule. They get Florida State in New Orleans, basically a home game. Then they get FCS Southern at home, then Mississippi State at home, then New Mexico at home. Then on the road to Auburn, Tennessee at home, on the road to Florida, Ole Miss at home. Then they get their bye week. They do get Alabama at home, then at Arkansas, UAB at home, and then at Texas A&M. They're out of conference, not bad. They get Florida State in the neutral, and then a home game against UAB. UAB is actually pretty good for a group of 5. Road trips to Auburn, Florida, Arkansas, Texas A&M. That's a pretty difficult schedule. I would agree it's top 10. Number 8 on this list, South Carolina. Here's their schedule. Georgia State at home, then at Arkansas. Georgia is home this year. Then Charlotte at home. Then FCS South Carolina State at home. They go on the road to Kentucky. Then they get their bye week. They also get Texas A&M at home this year. And then Missouri at home. Final 4 games, 3 of them are road trips. At Vanderbilt, at Florida, Tennessee at home, and then at Clemson. What really makes this schedule are those last 4 games. Check that. Last 3 games. Road trip to Vanderbilt doesn't count. Combine that with Texas A&M and Georgia at home. Does that make this a top 10 difficult schedule? Probably not. If Georgia and Texas A&M were on the road, or one of them were on the road, then yes, absolutely. But the fact that both of them are at home, that makes them winnable games in my opinion. And I think South Carolina does have a bounce back year. Top 10 difficulty? No. Top 25? Probably. Number 7 on this list, Texas A&M. Here's a look at their schedule. FCS Sam Houston, but soon to be Group of 5 Sam Houston at home, and then Appalachian State at home. Then the Hurricanes of Miami at home. Then they get Arkansas in Arlington. Then back-to-back road trips at Mississippi State, at Alabama. Then a bye week. Then another road trip to South Carolina. That's 3 road trips in a row. And that's what helps South Carolina with having Texas A&M at home. That'll be their 3rd road trip in a row. Then they get Ole Miss at home, Florida at home, at Auburn, UMass at home, and LSU at home. Just the fact that they have 3 road trips in a row and they're all difficult bumps Texas A&M's difficulty pretty high. I would say this is a top 10. And you throw in the fact that they get Appalachian State and Miami in the out of conference. I know they're both home games, but that's still pretty decent. Number 6 on this list is actually Alabama, and they don't even have to play themselves. They start off the season with a home game against Utah State, then a rare out-of-conference road trip to Texas. Then they get UL Monroe at home, then Vanderbilt at home. Then they go on the road to Arkansas. They do get Texas A&M at home, then at Tennessee, Mississippi State at home. Then they get their bye week. Then back-to-back road trips at LSU, at Ole Miss, FCS Austin Peay at home, and then Auburn at home. Yes, this is actually a top 10 schedule in difficulty. Road trips to Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, and Ole Miss. Great scheduling, Alabama. That's a toughie right there. If you do get into the playoffs, you will have definitely earned it this year. Now for the top 5. Number 5, Tennessee. Here's their schedule. Ball State at home, then at Pitt, Akron at home, Florida at home. Then they get their bye week. Then a road trip to LSU. They get Alabama at home, UT Martin at home, and then Kentucky at home, and then 3 out of their last 4 games are on the road. One of them at Vanderbilt, so you really can't count that. At Georgia, Missouri at home, at South Carolina, and then yes, of course, at Vanderbilt. Is this a top 10 tough schedule? I would not say so. Top 25 probably, just because they drew Alabama. But that is a home game. The out-of-conference at Pitt might bump this into the top 20. But top 5, I don't think so. Number 4 on this list, Vanderbilt. And one of the main reasons is they don't have to play themselves. Here's a look at their schedule. They start off on the road to Hawaii. Wow, that's a long road trip. Then they get FCS Elon at home. Then they get Wake Forest at home. Then at Northern Illinois. Don't ask me why they scheduled that. Then at Alabama. Yikes. Then they get their bye week. Then they get Ole Miss at home. Then they go on the road to Georgia, on the road to Missouri, then another bye week, so they do get 2 bye weeks. Then they get South Carolina at home, at Kentucky, and then Florida and Tennessee both at home. This is an extremely difficult schedule. 6 true road trips, and they drew Alabama and Ole Miss out of the SEC West. This is probably the toughest schedule out of the entire SEC, maybe the toughest in the nation. That's a toughie right there. Number 3 on this list, Georgia Tech. That surprised me too. Here's a look at their schedule. They start off the season with a home game against Clemson, then FCS Western Carolina at home, then Ole Miss at home. Oh, okay, they drew Ole Miss, but it is a home game. Then back-to-back road trips at UCF, at Pitt, then they get Duke at home, and then a bye week. And then the last stretch starts. Virginia at home, at Florida State, at Virginia Tech, then the Hurricanes of Miami at home, then at North Carolina, and then at Georgia. Yikes. Yeah, that's a very difficult schedule. I mean, look at their out-of-conference. Ole Miss, even though it's a home game, at UCF. That's ridiculous right there. Then the rest of their road trips, at Pitt, at Florida State, at Virginia Tech, at North Carolina, at Georgia. Yeah, I agree, this is top 5. But I think Vanderbilt's schedule is a little bit tougher, although 4 out of their last 5 games for Georgia Tech on the road. What a way to end your schedule. Yikes. Number 2 on this list is Mississippi State. Here's their schedule. First, they get Memphis at home. Then on the road to Arizona. They stay on the road to LSU. Come back home for Bowling Green. Texas A&M at home. Arkansas at home. Then back-to-back road trips at Kentucky, at Alabama. Then they get their bye week. Then they get Auburn at home, Georgia at home, FCS East Tennessee State at home, and then on the road to Ole Miss. Yes, this is a difficult schedule. Look at their out-of-conference. Memphis at Arizona, Bowling Green. Not all that bad. You add in FCS East Tennessee. Road trips, LSU, Kentucky, Alabama, Ole Miss. Tough road trips, but I think Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech's schedule are definitely more difficult than Mississippi State. Mississippi State might have a top 10, but I don't think they have the number 2 most difficult schedule in the nation. That brings us to number 1. According to the FPI, the most difficult schedule in the nation belongs to Auburn. Here's a look at their schedule. First, they get FCS Mercer at home, then San Jose State at home, then Penn State at home, then Missouri at home, then LSU at home. That's 5 home games to start the season. After that, a road trip to Georgia, then a road trip to Ole Miss. Then they get their bye week. Then they get Arkansas at home, a road trip to Mississippi State, Texas A&M at home, then Western Kentucky at home, and then at Alabama. I'm sorry, this is not the most difficult schedule in the nation. It's just not. I mean, yes, they have a decent out-of-conference with San Jose State and Penn State, and even Western Kentucky, but all of those are home games. This is strictly based on their road slate. At Georgia, at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State, and at Alabama. But I'm sorry, that does not make your schedule the most difficult schedule in the nation. Maybe top 10, but not number 1. I'm sorry, I disagree with this a lot. I would definitely put Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, probably Mississippi State, even Alabama above Auburn's schedule. That's how much I disagree with that. But y'all let me know in the comments section, do you agree with these rankings? I look forward to your comments on this particular topic. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.